that shit on me. 'Cause I still can't sleep without medication, and I let my thoughts run wild while I still think I got one, and I hear too much about my reputation, and I'm tired of sleeping on this floor.
Here we are, interviews with everyday people. This is I lose track of what number episode everything is, but so before we get started, if you guys like what you hear, audio or video, hit that subscribe or follow button. It helps us out tremendously, and also check out the links below to everything we talk about tonight. For our guests, so you can check out all their Facebook page or everything they got going on, or you can check out our merch page if you want to get a cool interviews everyday people swag. It's all there, and all that money goes to help us getting new equipment. So without further ado, do you guys want to give yourself a little introduction?
Yeah, my name's Sterling Kock.
And I'm Kate Koch.
So I've been saying Koch the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, when I play over in like New York City and North Jersey, you get that from the former Mayor Koch.
Yeah.
So that's how they pronounce it there. And
well, I'm glad I didn't do the intro. I would have butchered that. I'm terrible with names. That's like a thing I do at my job. Like I have to, I'm on the phone and I'll see a name and I'm like, I'm not risking it. I'm like, how do you say that? Yeah. And they're like, it's Stephanie. I'm like, there's 13 Q's in there. How do you? I'm not gonna ask. Yeah. So yeah, you guys. I kind of heard of you. We were in contact via internet for a long time.
Right.
Just never physically sat down and spoke to one another. You helped us out for the Toys for Tots benefit, which was fantastic. I didn't get a chance to see us play, but everyone who was at Strikers that night was very, very impressed.
That's very kind.
It was a great lineup with you guys, and then Evening Social and Apollo 88, Gas Station Disco. Was there a fifth one?
No, it was
just the
those four.
Okay,
yeah.
I was just saying, I hope I'm not leaving somebody out. And then that same night also spawned another interview for me because I'm going to be interviewing the guy who did sound that night.
Oh, Aaron Maurer?
Aaron, yeah, we're going to do Aaron in a couple weeks. And then
Nice.
Gas Station is a couple weeks from now, too.
Yeah. No, Aaron was a really good guy and did a great job.
Super professional.
Yeah.
And his sound is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, he does a great job. If you're looking for people in the area for sound, big or small, that was his small setup. He said he has a whole other trailer of another board and everything. So
wow.
He's really, really good. So if you're looking for someone, definitely let him know. So how long have you been in the music scene?
Oh, my God. Well, I started playing guitar when I was 12, so that'd be like 52 years of playing guitar.
Wow.
And
you definitely hit your the 10,000 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not a master of your craft unless you've done 10,000 hours of it.
Yeah. And playing professionally probably about 42 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was the first guitarist you heard that said, "Oh my God, I got to pick up one of these instruments"?
Jimi Hendrix, without a doubt. Yeah. I was like 12, 13 years old, and I'll always remember I was watching the old Dick Clark's TV show on Saturday afternoons, was always on, and they had this thing where the kids that were on the show would walk up in front of the camera and say who their favorite band was. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
And so all these people are walking up and they're saying the Beatles and the Stones and stuff. And this one dude comes walking up and says Jimi Hendrix, and the whole crowd in the place just went, ooh, like that was somebody who was cool. I had no idea who it was, but I thought I got to remember that name and check that out. So I bought the Are You Experienced album and just heard all the guitar playing on there and just went, oh my God, what is that guy doing?
Yeah, some of the craziest stories I've ever heard with him is like The Who and some of the biggest bands in the time that were that were established or about to be established would be like, all right, we'll just let this guy go up and play first. And they're like, we're not going up now.
Right.
Like, there's no way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're not going up after that. Like, are you out of your mind? Like when the opening act goes and steals the show.
Right. Yeah, no doubt.
Now, do you only know? Do you know any other instruments? You said you started with guitar, so you kind of maybe hinted there. You know other instruments.
Well, I teach guitar and I teach bass as well. I played bass for 12 years professionally and was on the road touring with bands and stuff till I switched over to guitar.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty proficient on both and can actually treat the bass as a bass as opposed to a guitar player playing bass.
Yeah.
which is a big difference there.
100%.
Yeah.
I watched the bass player from Metallica. I forget his name, but I watched him play guitar. But he plays guitar like a bass, like he was finger plucking and slapping it.
Right.
And it sounded awesome. I was like, that should be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like on YouTube, you watch like where they replace a bass with guitar strings or guitar strings with bass strings, just to
Right.
kind of see how it sounds differently. And if you're really good, you can make it work.
Right.
Yeah. So how long have you been playing?
So I started off on drums when I was in like middle school. So I can't do math right now. So I'm 31. So you guys could do the math. And then I realized I was not like super coordinated enough to keep like my hands and my feet doing all separate things. So I was just like, whatever. So I was a freshman in high school, and Dad came to me and he was like, hey, church needs a bass player. You want to take that up? And I was like, sure, let's give it a whirl. So it actually wasn't like, I don't want to say it wasn't hard to learn. Like Dad always says, it was like a natural flowing thing for me. And it kind of helped evolve like my taste in music. I'm always the one driving with their bass up really loud because that's the part of the song that I like. And truthfully, like feeling like the kick drum and the bass line like in my car seat is like, that's what psychs me up for the day. So
I didn't realize how much the bass was important in music until I have a lot of musical friends, like super talented friends, and like, you should play something. And the joke is just play bass because most bass players don't know what they're doing anyway. So just you learn a couple of chords. I'm not saying that you got but they said that's a great way to start. I guess.
And there's only 4 strings.
Yeah, and they said you're like, I guess they always said I had good timing. And they said if that would be a good introduction to you is like the bass because you have the timing down.
Yeah,
and I think I have good timing because I played Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so and then once I started learning how to play bass and I was practicing, I still don't do it. I just don't have time with everything I'm doing here. But when you start playing the bass and you start picking it out of the songs, you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize how. And then like, you know, you're listening to a good bass player if him and the drummer like are in sync and you don't even know you're staring at the bass like, are they even playing that? Because they're like right in the pocket with the drummer.
Yeah. So you really appreciate somebody like Neil Peart and Geddy Lee playing together. And not just playing together, but all the intricate stuff that they're doing and how all that stuff locks together. It's not just playing simple bass lines and stuff, but technical, very proficient stuff, and it still locks together.
Yeah, and then when you go out somewhere and you see a talented bass player, and you're like, oh, like okay, because they stand out,
right?
Especially if they have a good sound guy too, because a lot of times you go see a local band, and the bass is just playing off the amp in the back, and it's not coming through the main speakers,
right?
And if it's someone who can do all that very well, it makes or breaks the night for some bands. For me, because you kind of get spoiled. You're like, oh my God, like turn your bass up a little bit, man. I want to hear you. What are some of your favorite bass players that you, once you start picking up, you kind of looked into and followed?
I followed MC Divinity for a bit, and Victor Wooten, Dad's best friend, Frank. I call him Uncle Frank. He got me into them. So they're very technical bass players.
Is it like blues bass?
It's more kind of like R&B funk.
Okay.
Yeah, Victor's a lot of popping and slapping and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a really, really amazing bassist.
Yeah. And MC Divinity, she actually raps and plays bass at the same time.
Oh, really?
And I always found that like really interesting because like for me, I sing and play bass at church. And sometimes I'm kind of like, what am I supposed to be singing right now? Because, like, I'm focused on what I'm playing. So to, like, try and rap and play bass, I'm like, oh, man. So
it's
I always followed
beatboxing
her.
and rapping.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
And I currently follow Tal Wilkenfeld. She play bass for Jeff Beck, and
Okay.
when Freeway Jam plays Big Block, I'm kind of like channeling my inner Tao, because I'm like, it's always nice seeing a female bass player, and one who can play extremely well and also be on tour with like Jeff Beck. I was like, oh crap,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
So you guys play a lot of like with your local churches as well.
Yeah, we play a Sunday service there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I'm not a church guy, I'm going to be honest. I used to be. I was very involved with church when I was younger, and I asked too many questions, and I get in trouble. But so I used to go. My friends moved from New York to Monte City, and I go to black church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever experienced a praise and worship service from like a non-denomination Southern Baptist church, but that's a blast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What you have to experience is a church service from what they call a sacred steel service, which is in the there's a denomination called House of God churches, and in the House of God they didn't have organs, they were too poor, so the steel guitar leads the worship service.
Oh.
And these guys freaking scream on the steel guitars like nobody. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched the Blues Brothers movie in the church service where they're
Oh, yeah.
that's what they do.
Yeah.
And the people are just all over the place, and the steel guitar leads the service, and it's just incredible. I mean, guys like Robert Randolph and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that kind of service, I've experienced.
Some of the
that.
best musicians I've ever seen came out of churches.
Oh,
Like,
the best
out of-
singers too. I mean,
Yeah,
Aretha
voices,
Franklin
yeah.
and stuff, and Whitney Houston. I mean, some of the best voices, man, came out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to a church. We used to do services. They used to do services at in Monte City, and then I guess they started merging with the one in St. Clair.
Okay.
And the one night we were there, and I guess a church from Philly came, so it was like a collaboration of 3 churches.
Cool.
And this dude was on drums playing, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's unbelievable!" I was just literally staring at him, and he was just like staring at me, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." I was like hypnotized. So then they take a break. And I thought they were just like, people were just on stage just messing around, and the drums were just going crazy. And I look over and no one's on the drums. And I'm like, I guess they're playing a CD. And then all of a sudden in the corner of my eye, I see a stick in the air. And I was looking at the drums like, someone's playing that. But I couldn't see them on, it was like literally a 4 or 5 year old kid. It was the
my
drummer's,
goodness.
the guy who I just seen playing's son.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He wasn't even old enough to like use his like you go to the bathroom without assistance, and he's on the drums just tearing it up. Like and all you see is his, like the top of his stick when he hit a cymbal. Like he was that little, and I was like, this is on. Like that kid's gonna be an animal if he keeps at this. Like some of the best musicians I've come out of. I think Brandon from Crowbot was a church singer, wasn't he?
Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't quote me on that, but just so talented.
Yeah.
So much cool stuff comes out of there. But yeah, the only problem is, man, just it's like 14 praise and worship services. You're there till like 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's an experience. I'm like, skins are on it too. Let's move it.
When we went to, she was talking about Frank, my friend. We went to his church the one time, and so they go through the whole service, and the pastor does the message and all this, and you get to what you think is the end of the service, and all of a sudden now it becomes open mic night.
Yeah.
And now they let you give testimonies and just hand the mic over to anybody.
That's 4 hours long.
We left at 2:30 in the afternoon from a service that started at 10,
like,
and they were still going.
Yeah.
They were still going. I'm like, no, we're out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, it's out of control. See, I grew up with I don't know denominations, but I was the Irish or whatever Protestant. I don't know, but the one where you're like, you need you don't go to the gym before you go to church because you're kneeling, standing every 38 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, and you're like, can I just stay in one spot? Yeah.
Well, that's your workout for the day.
And then you're a kid, and you're just like, I'm not. You better get down on me. I'm like, like, my legs burn. I couldn't do that. And then to me, that church, I never got anything out of it because it was all like, amen. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, he's not even saying real words. And then I went to like the Southern Baptist style church, the non-denominations where they physically speak to you.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you can actually get something out of this because it's a legit conversation, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
so it was a different swing of worship, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was praise and worship. It's praise and worship time. Like, oh my God, I hope someone doesn't start feeling the spirit. We're gonna be here till 4.
Yeah. No, like I said, that's what they would do. Is literally was open mic night.
Yeah.
And just anybody could come up and give a testimony, and they're just going for.
And they're just trying to show each other off.
Oh well, that's it. They're next guy's trying to top the guy that was just on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes them all amazing musicians. The one girl's like, "You see her sing Amazing Grace?" Like, and they don't even have any cool. You'll hear Amazing Grace 14 times.
Right.
Yeah. Like, oh, she thinks she sang it good.
Yeah. No, I got this.
So it's like,
It
oh
wasn't
my.
church if you hold my beer.
Yeah. It really 100%. Which I don't think should be a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can drink wine. I think a beer is fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would go to church if there was beer. 100%. I used to do a podcast in Harrisburg, and every time I go to set up, they're like, yo, you got to move to a different room. And I was like, why? And they're like, the Church of Beer is here. I was like, what?
What?
And they're like, no, they do beer and church. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
Can I hang out? Like, do they got extra? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a place in New York City that we used to play down in the Village, and on Sunday nights from like 6 to 8, in the bar they'd have church, and they'd have bands come in and play just for those 2 hours, you know, playing praise and worship type music.
Yeah.
In the bar for a couple hours, then 8 o'clock back to. Your regular band and back to selling beer and
Some bands are very good at sneaking like gospel music into mainstream music. Like and then once people find out, then it's over. But like for a while there, a lot of bands get by and they're like, "Wait, you're a praise and worship band?" They're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh."
well, then there's the other bands too that do that, and then they deny from here to.
Yeah.
The end. No, we're not Christians. We're
Yeah.
or we're not a Christian band. We're Christians just playing music. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that whole thing too.
One of the best, like I'm like an emo punk kid, but I remember the band Relient K.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
That was a gospel band, or
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
didn't Creed start off as a
Creed started off that way too, and
POD.
then they went through. POD was big time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Switchfoot, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a country girl now who's like starting to get on the charts. But they started off as a church. I don't know, what was it's like a family. They're like a folk bluegrass style band.
Oh wow.
Huh.
And they're like they think they started in the church and they just play music. It's awesome. I think it's really good. I used to listen to a R&B guy. His name was Jay Moss.
Okay.
He was like,
Okay.
if you listen to it, it's not like you're listening to like R&B, like just fun hip hop. And
Right.
it's all praise and worship stuff. Unless you're really paying attention to lyrics, you have no idea. Like if you put that in a bar, nobody would know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was like Switchfoot was that way too.
Yeah.
But they were one of the bands that were always saying, we're Christians, but we're not a Christian band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it
Fight
all.
that fight all day long.
I like
Yeah.
it all. I like the gimmicky stuff too. Like I get in trouble I'm a Ghost fan.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yes, yes.
And they get yelled at. They're like, that's how they really are. I'm like, I don't believe you. I think they're 100% stick. I
Right.
think they're
Yeah.
doing it because it's like they're Kiss. They're trying to be Kiss, like a Kiss style thing.
A modern
Yeah.
version of it. Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I just think it's funny that like no one in the band's allowed to have an identity. You're like, you are a nameless ghoul. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you can unless like people know who the singer is, but the rest of the band it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Like there's a rumor that David Grohl played a show
Oh, nice.
on drums.
Yeah.
And nobody would ever know
Nobody
because
knew,
he
right.
just put the costume on, which
Yeah.
is funny.
Well, that's what Gene Simmons always said Kiss would wind up doing. They would replace themselves and have other guys do it for them when they got to a point where they were so old they couldn't do it.
Yeah. We have a really
And you'd
good.
never know.
Yeah, there's a really good Kiss like tribute band in the area, isn't there? Like they just played a couple shows.
Well, Eric Zygmunt is a good friend of mine. He's from up this way.
Yeah.
And
He does Gene.
No, He does Paul Stanley.
Paul
I
Stanley,
think. Yeah.
yeah.
And does it really well.
I only ever seen them once, and I was really young, and they played at when they were Plaza Lanes, was a bowling alley still.
Yeah.
And I remember I went into the concession stand to get food, and all of a sudden the dude whose Gene comes out with the boots and the, and the thing, and I was like, a little kid, huge wrestling fan. I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And all the other kids were running like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
They took off. I was
No,
like,
they're really good. I think it's Cold Gin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, I've seen, like, they were just a Goodfellas not too
Just
long
the
ago.
Goodfellas,
Yes.
and then the next night I think they did a show down in Virginia Beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
over the place. They're like Get the Lead Out. They're all over the place too.
Yeah.
Cool tribute bands. So who are some of the bands that you've played in?
Well, going all the way back to the late 70s was a band called Tease.
That's a 70s band's name right there.
Yeah, of course it is. We were, some of us were from up in Hazleton because that's where I grew up, but then the singer was from out of Allentown. We played a lot of shows down in Allentown and the Lehigh Valley and over in Jersey. Then I had went down south with a band. There was a guitar player down there named John Bailey, and I played bass for him for 2 years down in Florida. And he was a really amazing guitar player. Mm-hmm. So I played 2 years with him and then came back up here and just started my own band. And just been kind of doing that thing ever since in various different forms.
Now, your band now is a three-piece, right?
Three-piece band, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, guitar, bass, drums.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Who drums for you guys?
A guy named John Goba. He's from Cressona.
Okay.
Yeah, real good drummer. Real talented guy.
Nice. Now, you said you grew up in the Hazleton area. Did you and Eddie ever cross paths? Like,
Eddie graduated, I think, the year or maybe 2 years after me from West Hazelton High School. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So growing up, did you get know of him as a musician?
I knew of him as a musician. We didn't really hang out because he lived in West Hazelton, and we were from down in Cunningham Valley.
Okay. His story was just like, if he didn't go to school, he didn't have. If he wasn't forced to go, he wouldn't go. He was
right.
His passion was music. So it's. I was just curious, like seeing him, like if was that like something like, oh well, this guy's doing it. Like I know for me, it wasn't really like that. I grew up in Monty area, so music wasn't a huge. It was more like, oh, you play basketball, that's cool. Like music really wasn't put in the forefront like that.
Yeah, no, I actually probably did see some of his bands because. They had a Battle of the Bands contest at a movie theater up on Broad Street in Hazleton every Saturday afternoon. And I would go and just see all the different bands playing and just go, oh man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that was part of the inspiration, was seeing all those bands doing that.
How about you for bands? Have you always played with Dad, or have you ever broke off? And
most of the time with Dad. There was, I think, 3 bands with Dad. And then I have one on the side with my boyfriend Sean and our friend Brian. We actually play metal.
Oh yeah?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Been trying to work on screaming. So it's kind of interesting.
When I'm hammered, I'd scream, but it doesn't sound
good. Yeah. And then I actually, on the very side, actually dabble in electronic music on my own. I've been working on an album since high school, and
like an EDM.
Yeah.
And that's the best stuff she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If she'd ever put it out there, it's really good.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's like those club things, like everyone
yeah.
wants for the drop.
Yes, yeah. So in high school, Mom and Dad got me a computer specifically for working on music, and we got it all set up in my bedroom. So I'd actually stay up until like 2-3 in the morning working on music, and then after moving, I had like my laptop, and also that computer died. Overuse and overheating too many times.
That's why I have that giant fan under mine.
Oh yeah.
It takes me 8 hours. Like it takes me a day and a half to render one video.
Oh yeah.
It's horrible. I can't wait to get a new one.
Yeah. So the music program I was using, Sony acid music. Best program that I've worked with, very easy to use. They don't make it anymore. So with my boyfriend doing sound and like having his own like studio in our house, I'm now having to learn Studio Live and Reason and like all these like more intricate programs. So
A lot of people use like GarageBand, right?
Yeah.
Because GarageBand, you can just like, it's like a drum pad the whole time. You can just drum pad the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I remember growing up, what was the big one? Fruity Loops, or what it was called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone used Fruity Loops. I was like, every
Yeah.
inspiring rapper in the area who was making beats to be a rapper was using Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
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 So what holds you back for putting your EDM stuff out?
Me, myself.
Confidence or?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And also because most of the stuff that like, most of the songs that I have done, like I've used like pre-made loops. Like I didn't make my own. So I'm kind of like, it's kind of cheating. But like, I also really like the songs that I did. And actually, I was having this talk with my mechanic, who is now my good friend, about my music. And I was actually like, oh, I should actually really find, because I actually put everything on a CD and I found it. And I put the CD in my car, and like with Sony Acid, you could like have like your own like name and like really like hard write on the file name. So like seeing my name come up on my navigation screen, I was like, whoa, that's really cool. That's my name on my car screen. Like, I'm also fascinated because I just bought a car and it has a navigation screen and I've never had one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, this is really cool.
That's how I was when I got my new head deck on my first. I only owned 2 cars in my life. Knock on, not wood, but that's the first time I had like I could physically see the song name. I was like, that is the coolest thing of all time. I still think the same thing. Like when people are like, oh, can I add your podcast? And I just type in like interviews, and it goes with serial killers and then with everyday people. It's like all right, I'm catching up to serial killers. Like if I can surpass serial killers, I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Because everyone's fascinated with serial killers.
Yeah.
No, what was some of your inspirations? You said Hendrix, but like, are you very open-minded wheelhouse? So like some of your favorite like types of music or artists?
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. From jazz, Miles Davis and John Coltrane to sort of jazz rock like Steely Dan's a favorite.
Yeah.
But I love Van Halen.
That's one of my favorites too.
I think Ed's,
both Van Halen's are
well the Dave stuff more.
Yeah, David Lee Roth.
Yeah. I like Sam, but
I love Sammy, just not so much with Van Halen.
I actually liked him best with Neil Sean when they did HSAS.
Yeah. Didn't he do? Who was the other? Didn't he do stuff with Stevie Vai at one? Or was that his solo stuff?
No, that was Dave. Dave did with
Stevie Vai.
Yeah. But I love Ed. I think he's great. And it was kind of the same reaction that I had to the first Van Halen album that I had to Hendrix too. When a friend of mine put the album on for me, and just start hearing Eruption and stuff, and you just go like, what the hell is that guy doing?
Yeah, like
he's
not human.
No,
you're like listen, he sold his soul to somebody.
right. It's the old Robert Johnson story.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think I don't have a particular genre that I'm just stuck on.
I go through phases.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll be like, I'm really into hip hop this month, and then I'm like, I'm gonna switch over and go back to rock because I miss listening to guitars and
right,
like that. Like I think the guy right now I'm a huge fan of. I love Post Malone because he's like a cool mix of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and he wants to make a rock album. Like he's fantastic on guitar. He's a really good guitar player.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't do it because he's just like, I'll just rap here. Yeah. How about you?
So I'm definitely kind of all over the place too. I don't necessarily have like a favorite artist. I will say, growing up, I was definitely into like Reliant K, punk, emo stuff. But I've always been like musical because of Dad. So like if you ever see on Facebook like Dad and I posting about White Boots, that was the song I'd always request in the car when I was little. When we would go on places, it was White Boots, Dad, White Boots. So White Boots by Stevie Ray Vaughan is like our song or whatever.
Texas Flood's mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Texas Flood fan.
Yeah.
Nice.
So middle school, when I was into like the punk emo stuff, Dad was kind of like, Kate, you should like really listen to like some other stuff. He's like, that stuff is just like 3 chords and you're
It's just
done.
thrashing.
Yeah. So it was actually the movie Remember the Titans,
Okay.
where they played Them Changes by Buddy
Miles.
So there was one day I was in
It's
my
a great soundtrack, that movie.
Oh yeah. There was one day I was in my bedroom and I couldn't get that damn song out of my head, and I'm like, all right, sorry FBI, let's Napster this or Kazaa this. And you know, I downloaded it, and again, that bass line, I was like, oh, this is great. So I actually blasted this in my room, and all of a sudden Dad comes in, he like knocks on the door and opens the door, and he's like, what the hell are you listening to? And I'm like, nothing. And he's like, I know what you were listening to. And so that kind of started Dad and I like sharing
Like a bonding.
and sharing music between each other, because like I like blasting music. So there's days where Dad would come in and be like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, this is Toby Mac or whoever. And he's like, oh, that's really cool. Give me that CD. I want to check it out. So we just kind of shared music, and so Dad helped expand my horizons. There's
She turned me on to Third Eye Blind.
yeah,
Which is-
yeah.
Which is one of my secret.
Like guilty pleasures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My dad was a DJ growing up, so that's like my only thing. He was DJ TB. He would do like block parties and stuff. And I grew up, and my mom, he was very classic rock, and my mom was super pop music. So it was just like The Who, AC/DC, Aerosmith, and then my mom was like Rod Stewart, Alanis Morissette.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a big mixture of both, and I always liked both. I think my first memory of a song, like hearing a song and thinking like I love it, was Michael Jackson, "The Way You Make Me Feel." Mm-hmm. That bass line, the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Like I just be
Yeah.
like, this is, I don't know what's doing.
Yeah.
Something's happening. But I went through my teens where I went to the punk music because I was like, my dad's music's not cool.
Oh yeah.
And then I got older, I was like, all right, all your stuff is awesome. Let's talk about it. So the same thing. My first concert I went to, my dad took me to see Green Day and Blink-182.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was that?
In Hershey.
Nice.
Like in 2000, like he pulled me out of school, and I was like, "Am I in trouble?" And he's like, oh, he just starts driving. I was like, "Can we talk? Like, what's going on?" And he goes, "Open up the glove compartment." I opened it, there's an envelope. It says my name. I was like, "What did I do if there's an envelope with my name on it?" And I opened it, and it's 2 tickets for the show. And I was like, "This is cool." Yeah, so that was my first show.
Nice.
It was awesome. And then before that, my first show would have been, I kicked myself in the head. You're gonna love this. We go to North Carolina for a NASCAR race. I was super into NASCAR, and so was my dad. And in North Carolina, they would rope off like 4 city blocks,
Oh,
and it was just
wow.
pure NASCAR in downtown North Carolina. And there's a stage there, and they're like, the band's just about to start. Hang out here. So me and my dad are literally from me to you away from the front of the stage, and I'm just like, who's playing? And he goes, I don't know. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden the band comes out, and my dad just turns into a girl, like a schoolgirl. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, what? He goes, the band, he goes, I'm like, you don't know these guys? He's like, bullshit, I don't. And I was like, I want to leave. And he's like, please. He's a great dad. If it was me and my kid, I'm like, you cry the whole time. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving. He left. I pulled him away front row from this band. And then a couple of years later, we're out somewhere, and I was like, Dad, I'm obsessed with this band. And he goes, I want to punch you in the face. And I said, why? He goes, that's the band you made me walk away from in North Carolina. It was Cheap Trick.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
wow.
3 concert of Cheap Trick in downtown North Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
And he was right against the stage. And I made him walk away from it. And then I'm like, I'm 10 years older than that age. I'm like, I like Cheap Trick. He's like, I can't stand you.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, so it's nice that like music's such a powerful thing, and it can be used in so many different aspects. Like you raising money for stuff, making people bond. It's used in therapy for people like with you know Alzheimer's to like help them remember things. It's always just been like a huge passion. I just love music, all genres. Listen, country, I'm trying, all right?
Me too.
I'm trying. But yeah, I'm always in everything. Like, we go out and we're like, oh, you like heavy metal or like, you like rap? And I'm like, yeah, but don't get it twisted. You put some boy bands here, I'll sing all that too. Like, I like it all. And you're like, how do you listen to that garbage? I was like, just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Like, just enjoy
exactly.
it. Yeah. Who are some of your people, like bands out now that you're into, like today-wise? Got yous here.
All right.
Yeah.
So I actually saw a concert at Reverb in Reading. I would say earlier this year, but we are not in 2019. It was IwEP and Corpaclani. I used to call IwEP Illuvite. They are Finnish and Swedish metal bands, folk metal. Really, really great concert. So I kind of dig them. Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Like, and I still haven't moved like my ginormous CD case into my car yet. So like, I'm just waiting for that day.
This is my CD case. Spotify. Done.
Yeah, I was with my car and the navigation and Bluetooth. I was like, oh, I have to reload my iTunes library onto my phone now, and it's just a mass mix of everything. So
yeah, you hit shuffle on back in the day on my old iPod. It was just like it went from like Temptations to Frank Sinatra to Slipknot to it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about any bands today that catch your attention?
I'm just listening to guitarists.
Yeah.
Being a guitar teacher, so it could be, somebody like Larry Carlton, like jazz. Satriani's got a new album coming out next month. Guys like Guthrie Govan from the Aristocrats. Just pay attention to a lot of new guitarists, whoever's out there. Mm-hmm. And it could be, like metal bands and stuff. A lot of my students turn me on to like Avenged Sevenfold and stuff like that. So those guitar players are crazy. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the very technical metal stuff, Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, just trying to be aware of who's out there, guitar players and stuff, that just to help me with my teaching and stuff.
Yeah, where do you teach out of?
I have a studio at my house in Friedensburg. And I teach on Fridays at the Tamaqua Arts Center. Okay.
Now, when you went to high school, did you go to Tamaqua?
No, I went to Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said Tamaqua, that kind of sparked, because I think that Tamaqua music scene is insane. I think that's like, I always look at this local school's band program. Like, North School produces really good musicians. Pottsville makes good musicians. Haven makes pretty decent musicians. And then Tamaqua, their band is bigger than the two football teams on the field sometimes on a Friday night.
Right.
They're a huge band, yeah.
Well, I taught their band director.
Really?
How's that?
Yeah.
For irony, yeah.
Yeah.
I told a couple of my students up there, too, who are in the band. I can remember teaching Mark. And he used to, when we were living in Tamaqua, I was teaching up there. And he would come up, God, he could have only been like 12 years old, 13 maybe, and dragging his crappy little bass in every week for bass lessons. And
I think Tamaqua was the first band I seen that used a bass guitar. They didn't have a string guitar. They just had bass guitar and I believe a full drum set, like an actual drum kit.
Yeah.
They would build like a little platform on the bleachers, and he would sit and play like a full piece drum set, which I was like, that's awesome.
And God bless him, Mark went off and did all that stuff on his own after that.
Yeah.
And,
Now, when you said you know how to read, like read music
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, was that all self-taught, or did you take lessons when you were a kid?
I took lessons when I was a kid, probably up until the age of like about 13 or so. And this was when we were still living up in Cunningham, up in the Hazelton area. And I got as good as the teachers that were teaching me. Mm-hmm. They couldn't teach me anything more. And there was nowhere else to go for lessons. I was kind of stuck. And so I stopped taking lessons for a while. And that's when I got to playing bass. I was down in Florida playing bass, and I realized I wanted to start writing my own music. And so I moved back home. I sold all my bass gear. Everybody thought I was nuts, and I bought guitar stuff and immediately switched to guitar. So I was teaching myself, and I got to a point on playing leads where I couldn't figure out how to do a particular thing. I took one lesson from a guy at CNC Music named Tim Imbert, was a friend of mine, and he explained to me the pentatonic scale, which I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. But he showed me how to play it, and I was like, oh my God, that's everything I've been hearing.
It's just like that last piece of the puzzle you needed.
That was it. Yeah. And so I was pretty much self-taught, except for, like I said, those couple lessons there. But what happened was when I started teaching, kids were coming to me in Tamaqua and asking me, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm like, I'm showing all these people how to play this and how to play that. My wife actually said, you should really start charging these people who keep coming up here and start teaching them. And so I started charging and started teaching. What happened was probably about a year and a half into teaching, officially teaching up there, a guy came to me who was better than me, who knew more theory and stuff. And I was like, oh, this can't happen. I got to teach myself or learn somehow about all this stuff. I can't have a student telling me, what this particular chord was or anything. So I buried myself into books and theory and stuff and taught myself how to read the notes and the different chords and scales and the whole thing. So
there's a thing out now. I'm not even sure if you're aware of it. It's called Musician. There's like 4 different apps out. I think Fender just made one as well.
Right.
Where you literally put your phone here, you plug your amp in, and the phone picks up your chords. Oh, yeah. And I've actually heard from then they made a video game called Rocksmith where you can plug your guitar into your Xbox or PlayStation.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've heard people who are like musicians, like I played that game and it actually made me it taught me things I didn't know before.
Sure.
So it's good to hear I'm someone who's like a seasoned musician actually says you still go out and you're actively learning how to get better and stuff at things.
Right. And I encourage all my students to use whatever is out there. I don't say, don't go on YouTube and watch Marty Swartz teach you how to play this or that. I encourage them to get better on their own too.
Yeah, because everyone learns a different way.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the reason they made those apps because everyone was playing like me. If I would have not put the hours I put into learning how to play a plastic guitar and just learned a real one, I'd be pretty good at it. Because I was like, I'm playing on expert, and my cousins are like, why don't you play a real one, idiot? And I'm like, you got a point. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not playing this game no more. That game helped me more vocally.
Is that right?
Because it teaches you have to hit your certain pitches and your notes and stuff. And for a long time, when I was trying to teach myself how to sing, I would try to teach myself how to sing like the person. Like I was mimicking their voice.
All right.
Because that was something I was always good at. Like if I heard a cartoon or something, I could learn how to do the voice of the cartoon character.
Yeah.
So then when I would listen to people's music, I would try to sing like the musician, and I was like, no, that's not. You have to learn your own voice. And that's the game kind of helped me with that a little bit. But it was learning lyrics is cool on there too because it's all it's like karaoke.
Right.
But it was fun, and then everyone's banging their plastic instruments in their living room, and I was like, you can go to a bar and watch this. Yeah. You ever see those karaoke now where they do? It's like a full band. And the band's like, hey, here's our book of what we know how to play, and you literally just frontman the band for a song.
Oh, jeez.
It's like full band karaoke.
Right.
So instead of like a karaoke machine, it's a full band. I was like, that'd be awesome. If that was an art. I think the last time I heard it was in Bloomsburg.
Okay.
It was in Bloom. Yeah. That's an awesome market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have way more confidence when you're playing with a band. Like, I don't know. If you put me in a karaoke machine or a karaoke booth at a bar, I'm just but you put me in front of a band, I probably sound terrible, but in my head,
you
I'm
think
like,
you
this
sound great.
sounds so much better because
Yeah.
they're awesome.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And to know all those songs, they better be pretty awesome
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I had was it Saturday night I went out, was that gas station disco show, and they're like, do you want to help out? You want to jump in the last set list? And I was like, what are you playing? I was like, I know almost all of them. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
And the one I didn't know, I was on my phone. I'm like the lyrics, and I'm reading the lyrics. And the guy's like, how did you do the lyrics? I was like, I don't know, man. It just went. Yeah. But now, being in the area, in the Hazelton area, in this area, one of the things I always tell people I'm super passionate about, and I love it, is just the talent of musicians in our area is unbelievable. Now, I'm sure I'm probably being biased. You could probably drive 2 hours up the road and go to another small town and probably find the same thing. But I'm just very proud of how insanely talented musicians we have that range from all different ages and groups and genres of music. Who are some of the people in the area that maybe you have grown playing with, or some new bands you may have seen that really caught your eye, or some musicians that maybe inspired you or that you always enjoyed to hear or play with?
Yeah, well, there's a really cool scene going on in Schuylkill County. I mean,
Yeah.
you see all these bands playing these multi-band bills and stuff, and trying to get out there, and a lot of them are doing their own stuff. And that, to me, that's
Original
the best.
bands.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the best thing. Even if the originals aren't necessarily the best, I mean, just that they're getting out there and trying things out.
They're doing their reps. They're getting their reps in. No one's amazing right away.
Exactly.
That's a thing that I'm a huge David Grohl fan, and he used to say, like, I can't stand the idea of music today because everyone thinks it's American Idol, it's The Voice, it's these game shows where you have to show up and be fantastic. He goes, when I was in Nirvana, we sucked. We were 4 kids in a garage just making noise and being terrible at what we did, and we just got better.
Yeah.
Like, and that's good for a band to go out and maybe not have a great show on a Friday, but at least you're gonna keep doing it. You know what I mean? You're
Right,
gonna
learn from it.
Yeah.
No, there's the established bands. There's, Sapphire, of course, is a great tribute band, and Hooligan's a terrific band, and you can go down the line of those bands, and then there's like the bands that run the bill with us, Apollo 88. I teach one of the guys in Phased.
Who do you teach?
Danny Spots,
Bass.
the guitar player.
Okay.
Yeah, the lead guitar player.
Oh, he's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
he's an animal.
He's a challenge to teach.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
I can tell you. But all those bands really intrigue me. No Rain Checks.
Oh, Max Max.
Yeah, and Josh Bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I not
Max Bolton.
Bolton. I said Fulton. I was close.
There, you're almost there.
You see what he just did to me?
No.
Did you see he paid that Haley Stokes to draw a picture of John Lesko as a centaur? Did you see that on his Facebook?
No.
Yeah, John Lesko from Look Alive.
Right.
Yeah.
He paid one of the local artists to do like a drawing of John Lesko as a half man, half centaur.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's a little green goblin on his back.
Right.
And I'm the goblin.
You're the
I'm honored, but it was hilarious. I had no idea he was doing it.
Oh,
I just
man.
turned on my Facebook one day and I'm a goblin on John Lesko's back. Yeah.
No, all these young bands, it's a great thing.
That's another cool band too.
Yeah.
Look Alive.
Yeah. No, it's a great thing, and just to see so many of them out there, it's great for the local scene. It really is.
Yeah, Max to me is like an old soul. Like his music taste and his scope is so beyond what most kids his age are even
Right.
recognizing.
Yeah.
And he's so focused on music. He's like laser focused. Like I joke him all the time, like, you have a girlfriend? Because I couldn't imagine you be like, I'm going out for dinner tonight. Because I just feel like I'm going to stay in my house and play my guitar all night. Like he just
do music
yeah,
all
he
the
just
time.
seems like he's just so laser focused into that. Like and he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
And not only does he just focus on his own thing, he goes out and sees as many bands as he possibly can, and he just seems like a sponge to me. Like he just absorbs
Sucking
it
up
all.
everything,
Yeah,
sure.
That's a band I'm a huge. I follow that band a lot. I like them a lot.
They're very entertaining guys. Besides the playing aspect of it, it's.
I'm really close with Austin and his family, the bass player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really cool kid. He actually helps us with our wrestling podcast.
Oh, nice.
Actually, No Rain Checks is our intro music for.
Is that right?
For yeah, and Look Alive is one of our intro musics, and then Faith in Exile is one of our intros. Yeah.
See, I taught Robbie Allison,
Really?
and I taught.
Well, he doesn't play. He's I heard fantastic on guitar. But he sings.
I know, and he really ticks me off that
Yeah.
he doesn't play.
Every
Yeah.
member of his band, who I think are fantastic guitar players, are like, if you think we're good, you should see Rob play.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even play.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'd love to choke him someday, and do something to get him to play again because he's so talented.
I think something's in the works.
Well, I would hope so
Yeah.
because his whole thing is he doesn't think he's metal enough to play.
Yeah.
But he's the perfect melodic guy to play against. You know, somebody who's playing.
That band is so.
I've had
talented.
two guys that have done that to me already. Both of them because they couldn't sweep pick. And another guy did the very same thing, and he turned out to be a screamer in his band.
Who's that?
Oh God, what is? Oh, now you put me on the spot.
Sorry.
That's all right.
It happens to me all the time.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, but
he's
Rob-
from down near. He's from down near Hamburg.
Okay. Let's see. We'll just move on. If it comes to you, come
That's
back.
all right.
Yeah, Rob is insane, man. That Faith in Exile. That's normally not the genre I'm super into, but they're just all so good at
Yeah.
what they do. Like
Yeah,
there's
they
not
are.
Yeah.
sometimes you go to see a band, you're like, okay, maybe this one guy needs a little work, but he playing with the people he's playing with, he's gonna catch up or he'll get better if he puts the work in. But like that band, you're like, there's no weak link.
No,
No.
not
Yeah.
at all.
Not at all.
Real talented guys. Yeah.
Who are some of the bands in the area you're kind of scoped on?
Man. So I'm ashamed to admit I don't really get out much around this area.
You gotta get out. You gotta get
I
you
know.
out. Gotta get you out.
No, because on the weekends, either I want to stay home or I'm actually either going to like soccer games because my boyfriend plays soccer on like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 different leagues in
Oh, wow.
Lehigh Valley.
I wish I could still do that. I used to
Yeah.
coach for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or I go with him when he does sound for bands. So, and that's all over the place. So, yeah. I mean, so going to Blue Mountain, Mr. Whalen, Bill Whalen, was the art teacher. So I was really like into like, you know, the original music scene, all the bands playing at Hucklebucks. And I liked when the high school put on like the Jamboree band. Yeah.
Band Jamboree or whatever it was.
Yeah. But that's actually where I saw Robbie Allison play, and I was like, "Oh, my dad taught Robbie," and you know, like I think to like watch Robbie play, like progress and over time, because I got to see him play at the Roundhouse over the summer when they did some show with Look Alive and Phased and Gargons. So it was really cool to see like
Gargons they're a good time too.
Yeah.
And that's just two people.
Yeah. Like I was so amazed and like mesmerized by Gargons because I was like, oh my God, that's just two people.
I used to play soccer with both of them.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah, we grew up playing soccer.
yeah. So I mean that was a really cool show. So and you know to kind of see like the guys in Faith in Exile kind of like not mentor but kind of help out the other bands because some of them were like, oh, this is my first time playing someone else's drum kit, like, so you know you kind of like say, hey, you know, you're gonna do a great job tonight. And
Faith's drum kit is like Neil
Yeah.
Peart brought his drum kit.
yes, well he actually brought another drum set for all the other bands to play on, just because he was like, I know these bands probably would be like, oh,
Lost.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and that was fine. It was very helpful for because you know you play these shows with multiple bands and you're kind of like, oh my God, did we do okay? We had like an hour, and did we pick the best songs? I'm so nervous. And you know, it was actually a really good night, and I was kind of like, oh, I should really get back into like the music scene of going to see bands. Aaron Parker bugs me all the time to go see his whatever. He has a band that he put together, Dead Belly, and he's like, "Oh, you should come see us," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, haven't gotten there yet." Yeah, I think the last like local music scene show I went to was actually in Fogelsville at the Sam Adams Brew House, and I don't even know who we saw.
I'll tell you what, just as someone who's not a musician, but I always get asked to help put shows together or events and stuff, what makes it so easy is like how you were saying before, how like you get some bands, there's no egos anymore. Like maybe there was before. I guess some people said at one point in time it was harder for people to play together because maybe that was a problem at one point where people were just they just seen everything as competition, and I think it's not really like that now. And I think a lot of the bands who were like that have now changed and changed gears, because for a while here, like the scene wasn't here, and then it kind of came back. So yeah, I can put a show on and be like, I could put these 4 bands together, and they're probably going to share all their cabs, and it's just going to be a super easy breakdown setup. But that drummer is open to letting everyone use his kit. Just bring your breakables, and it's just the show flows so nice, and it just and then everyone's working with each other, and everyone's up front supporting the other band. Because another thing that happens with shows, if you're doing a solo show, is if you only have one person, if that one person's like, I don't want to be that person who stands right in front of the stage, and then everyone's just like, look at that one guy dancing and supporting the band, and but if you have like 4 or 5 bands, and then those 3 bands aren't playing but they're up front supporting, then it kind of everyone's like, oh well, if there's all those people there, let me go too, and then it just to me it's just a different environment than just doing a solo show. That's
why that show at Strikers went so well, because everybody worked together, and Gas Station's drummer,
Sir Angelo, he's insane. He's so good.
Let everybody use his kit and stuff.
Yeah,
they're actually so the episode you're going to hear after this will be Gas Station, and then the episode after Gas Station will be Gargons.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have like 3 bands back to back for. I'm getting a lot for interviews, which I'm 100% for. I'm all about it, because when I first started this, it was a lot of people telling like their stories, like addiction or something, and I'm like, and then people were like, well, I don't want to do that. So I was like, you don't have to. Like this isn't come in. If we live in an area and people are judgy, and if you are willing to do that, awesome. But if you're not comfortable, you don't have to. Just come on and we'll talk about a movie. Just come talk, and we just have a conversation. So I have been very fortunate enough to get a lot of arts. So it's like artists, musicians, business owners. So it's a cool variety. But I like talking to musicians and bands and trying to, because you tell me, oh, I like this band. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I have to listen to that when we get done. But, so do you guys have any shows or anything planned anytime soon?
Yeah, we got coming up this Saturday. We're at the Tap in Humboldt. Up near Hazleton. Yeah.
When is this?
Saturday night.
Oh, no. No. Yeah, I'm actually doing a wrestling show, and then if I make it in time, because I have to drop the guy off in Hazleton, Gas Station's playing at... this won't air by then, so we're not gonna. It won't matter. But I love Tap in Humboldt.
Yeah.
If you guys get booked there again, please tell me. I want to.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite. The craft beer, and they have a great selection,
and the food's terrific.
Yeah, and they put good bands in there.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not your usual, bands. There's a lot of different blues and jazz and jam bands and all the like. So we're hoping that'll be a good one for us.
Yeah, I think you'll do really well there. The only problem is I went to go see my buddy's band play there, and they were all they're all from like the Leesport area. The Collective, I've been sharing their stuff a lot. The Collective, I can't. I'm having a brain fart. I'm sorry, guys, but they went there, and I guess they were expecting more people to kind of be up and dancing, and I was like, nah, that doesn't really happen there. People kind of just sit in their seats and watch.
They want to check out the music, which is it's ideal situation for us. So.
But they were fantastic. She got out. It's for the most part, it's all black band except one white dude, and I was kind of scoping him out. I was like, what's he gonna play? Like, what instruments? I was like, all right, he's guitar. He's lead guitar, right? picks up the bass, and I was like, I'm not racially profiling or stereotyping, but you're a bad mother jammer if you are the only white dude and you're playing the bass guitar. And I walked up and said that to them, and they're like, yo, you're so right. But they're really good. They're actually going to be playing Stryker soon.
Oh, wow.
I think in a couple months. I actually got them. I said, you have to book this band. Like, I want people to see them in this area. She comes out. She's like a Lauryn Hill. Like, she comes out. She just has a funk and a groove to her. And they'll just come up and she'll do Lauryn Hill, and then they'll do like Green Day.
Oh, wow.
Their music range is so vast, and every single member of the band can sing. Like, they're all so good. And I think they're all church musicians that just do a thing on the side. So when it comes up, just keep an eye on the Strikers page, because they'll be playing there soon. I think they posted it. I just don't know the date, but they're really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think who's opening for them. I think Evening Social might be opening for him that night.
Okay.
Which I think that's a good pick, because they're just jam. They're a jam band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First time I seen them was at Hucklebucks, which I call the Pottsville CBGB.
Right.
And because of the disgusting bathroom too. It's not disgusting. It just smells really bad. If you have the opportunity, be like, someone wants the door, I just want to walk in the men's room. It's an experience.
Oh man.
Yeah, you have to hold your breath. You're like you have to be a Navy SEAL sometimes. I love Hucklebucks though, because you have to be original band to play there. Like every now and then they put some like a cover band, but you have to be a really, really good cover band to play there, like Gorilla Pack or stuff like that. I seen Evening Social there, and I was just sitting there. I was like, holy crap! And they're just sitting there with a cigarette in their mouth and just acid all over the floor, and they're just playing like an 18-minute song, and I was just like memorized the entire time. Yeah, they're fantastic. I'm so bummed I missed that set list, man. At Strikers that night, it had been so much good, so much fun. I ended the night when Gas Station was just getting on, or no, they were like halfway through the set, because I had to go to like 3 different venues that night.
Right.
Yeah.
But it worked out. And if you were someone who was at the Toys for Tots thing, I want to thank you guys so much. We did really well. I know it was on Facebook, but we raised like about $800 and about like 4 or 5 boxes full of toys. And I was telling them off camera, I said the work that... So when you walk by a Toys for Tots box in our area, a lot of people, I think, just look at it and go, and just keep walking. I just really want to stress, like... when I left that place that day, like, I got emotional. I was like in tears, like because it was something bigger than yourself, and it doesn't take much to get a toy and just put it in a box. It really doesn't. Like, realistically, I'll go to a bar and drop $40 in beer for the night, or go to McDonald's and drop $20 in garbage food.
Right.
Yeah.
That just maybe one, like, if you see them this holiday season, just kind of think of that, like, because these people who run it, it's not that many people. It's a handful of people, and they literally get lists. Like, they're modern day Santa Clauses. They get a list from these kids in our area who just are just going through situations, and they're just trying to get them a good Christmas. And the list will say, like, I want a Tonka truck, a G.I. Joe, a Batman, and this. And then everyone brings their toys in, and they sort through it and try to make sure every kid gets at least 2 things on his list that they liked or something similar. And when we brought our toys in, we had a few items in there that when they seen it, their eyes lit up and they got so excited and ran it over and made sure it got in that right box to go to the right people. And I wish I had it on the tip of my tongue, but I know they do a dart tournament every year. I don't remember the name of the dart tournament, but they kill it every year. The guy who runs that literally goes out and buys thousands of bicycles.
Wow.
And he just puts them out there, and these kids aren't just getting like a Dollar General toy. Like, they're getting full bikes. Like, people are donating insane things. Like,
that's great.
Yeah. Someone had an NSYNC doll. Remember the old NSYNC?
Yes.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake NSYNC doll. I was like,
wow.
If a kid gets this, please check it on eBay, because you probably you're sitting on a collector's item.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was but yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's the big thing is, like, this year coming the holiday season, just if you see those boxes, just keep that in mind. Like, it's something bigger than even you would even imagine, and it's so cool. Like, I didn't even know this until I got involved with it, and I thank Hampton for forcing me to do it, but not forcing me, but he got the train rolling, and I made the post, and then he just like, see you, bud. Yeah. But yeah, yes, but it's really cool. So definitely check that stuff out. Where can we find Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Cool.
Yeah,
and then you guys post all where you're going to be and playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything else booked after?
The following Friday, the 28th of February, I believe it is. Maybe 29th, 28th. We're at the Midtown Tavern in Harrisburg for the Millennium Music Conference.
Midtown Tavern.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure where that one is.
2nd Street.
I know the HMAG, Harrisburg Midtown Arts.
We're there at the end of March.
March 27th.
Playing with an instrumental guitarist from out of Cleveland named Neil Zaza.
That's a good venue.
Yeah.
That's an awesome venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris who runs it is a good dude.
Yeah. And March the 6th, we're opening for a singer from Kansas City named Danielle Nicole at the Mock Chunk Opera House.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing which I do every year. That cool news, they just started the train rides again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a cool town.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely when you guys have venues or like events, tag me in it.
Okay.
All right.
And then, because another thing too, I want when people listen, I know you may like, why is Tony inviting me to all these pages and all these things? It takes 2 seconds to like something.
Yeah.
It really does. And you don't know the impact that happens. So if I hit like on, on your band page, everyone sees that I hit like, and someone goes, well, what's that? I also like local music. And then it just opens doors for people.
Right.
Yeah.
And it literally does nothing to your storyline. The only thing you may see is a few more bands and less garbage about the horrible things going on in the world.
Yeah.
So see it as a win-win.
Less
Yes.
politics,
Yeah.
more music.
And if someone invites you to a page, or not even a page, like an event, even if you're not going to go, click interested.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you click interested, you're letting more people know this event is happening.
Yeah.
And musicians are, people take it for granted. Some people, that's how they make their living is music.
Yeah.
So show that support, because we're all quick to go to a Walmart or an Amazon or
Yeah.
spend thousands of dollars to see a band that you're never going to meet or interact with or anything, but your local music scene's just as talented.
Right.
You know what I mean? And every one of the bands that you're into now all started doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely show that support. And
Now, like we said, there's a really great scene going on around here, and it's really encouraging for somebody, older like myself to see all these younger musicians stepping up and doing what they're doing. It's great.
it's just so talented. Like,
Yeah.
just guitarists alone, Kevin from Look Alive is so good. Max, we're all there's just so many talented guitarists, and Crowbot. We have a Crowbot from the area,
Right.
And Chris was ranked in, I think, Guitar World magazine for a little bit there, and
Right.
Yeah.
And Eddie's son is playing bass for him.
and he's probably even better guitars than he is a bass player too. If
Right.
people don't even know that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Eddie's I love Eddie. He's such a sweetheart. One of the nicest human beings. That whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never met a Collins and been like, don't like them.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't exist.
No, and Keith's a talented guy with Hooligan.
Yeah. He's another one. He can go from guitar to drums to sing.
Yeah, he's a good drummer.
Yeah.
When he's not out fronting the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's been really cool to see for me is, once again, if you really want to take a step back and be like, there's competition in the area. If you think cover bands who are playing, block parties and gigs like that, you think Hooligan and Toolshed Jack. And Keith is drumming for Toolshed helping them out. That's so awesome to me.
Yeah.
Because they're both such amazing musicians, and they're just like, hey, do you want to jump in and help us this weekend? They're like, yeah, 100%. We know that's going to make you money because you need, and then they just rotate each other.
Right.
It's such a cool thing, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the collaborations and how people are like, oh my God, you're a good bass player. Do you want to do we'll just do a fun little thing where people are making YouTube videos and stuff like that. There's just so many opportunities for people to work together.
And Keith's sister too, Carrie.
Carrie's a great
drummer.
Adrenaline.
And we did.
And she fills in for a lot of people too.
Well, but we did a benefit at Goodfellas maybe a year and a half or so ago, and she let everybody use her drum kit.
Yeah.
I mean, her main nice, cool drum kit.
The bright pink and
right.
bright pink and neon green.
She didn't even think twice. Everybody was playing on it. It was,
Yeah, she's fantastic too.
Yeah.
I think she does that too because she tries to use other people's drum sets, and she's tiny.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's like, oh, I can't. They were actually, Adrenaline was on the show. They were
nice.
doing at Goodfellas, they did that, the Bear the bear hug, where like you bring like
Oh,
a,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could be saying that wrong. I don't remember what the name of the benefit was, but they, like I said, that's another band that puts benefits and stuff together.
Right.
And I want more bands to be just that you can do that stuff. It's there, like, and the scene is good enough that I'm sure if you made a post, just go out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like, I did it twice now and it worked. So
Right.
just give it a shot. And not all the time. Like your music can make really good impacts in the area and help a lot of people.
Yeah, make a difference.
You see someone
Absolutely.
someone in a fire or in a car accident, like one benefit show, you can raise enough money to really help somebody out. Or I always tell people too, like, you're on the internet, we have these GoFundMes where people are always trying to, like, hey, funeral expenses or hospital bills. Like, we have a woman in Pottsville, Colleen just got hit, by a car, and if 1,000 people do $1,
Yeah.
it does nothing. It's not going to hurt your bank account,
Right.
And
make a huge difference in somebody else's life.
And listen, not everyone in this area, I get it, has money, and we're not all wealthy, but together we can really help each other, like really get by. And that maybe just, and it doesn't even have to be monetary or money, just support.
Yeah.
Go out there and go see a band or support local art or musicians or plays. Like Pottsville and this area are doing some really cool things, and hopefully can continue doing what I'm doing and bringing more of that to light for people to know about and go see.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Is to let people know it's there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you guys want to plug or anything that we missed that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
This is
Thanks.
great.
Just send me all the links to everything, and we'll make sure we put everything below. And like I said, anytime you guys have a show or something going on, let me know, and I'll definitely make it a point to come see you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I'm bummed I didn't get to see you that night. But thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out.
Thanks
for having us.
No
man.
problem.
Appreciate
Everyone,
it.
go check out the Sterling
Koch and
Cook.
Freeway
I
Jam.
almost said Koch again. And the Freeway Jam. Thank you guys so much. Here's some Timmy Mingle to get us out of here.
And I just wanna get off of the floor. And I just wanna get off of the floor. 'Cause I still can't sleep without medication. And I let my thoughts run wild while I still think I got one. And I care too much about my reputation